The World Cup is finally over, and while some are still out there celebrating, a number of people are in the corner licking their wounds and probably trying to prepare for the next World Cup. However, there are probably also those that have moved past. Either of those are now wondering what these countries got for their efforts. Aside from bragging rights and medals, of course. So, in this video, we'll be talking about the first 3 countries at the Qatar 2022 World Cup and revealing what each of them won in prizes. To start with, FIFA has never held back on how much it sets aside as prize money for the World Cup. Most sports viewers only focus on the trophies, understandably, but countries actually make a lot of money just from playing in the World Cup. And the further they go in the tournament, the more money they stand to win. This works great for all participating countries, of course, but especially for the underdogs, as they could use the money won to improve their sporting facilities and stuff in preparation for the next tournament. However, and probably unfortunately, the countries that made the top 3 at Qatar 2022 are not who you would call underdogs. So they might not be in desperate need for all that money, but there's absolutely no country that does not need a bit more money. Now, just so you have an idea of how much money is involved here, FIFA's budget for the 2022 World Cup prize money was a whopping $440 million, which is $40 million more than what was on offer in 2018 and $82 million more than what was on offer in 2014. So there is a lot more money this year, and each of these 32 countries that made it to the World Cup is entitled to $1.5 million simply for qualifying. That money increases to $9 million each for playing at the group stage. However, we are here at the top 3, so starting with the country that got the 3rd place, here's what they're going home with. Croatia, who had to beat Morocco in order to win the 3rd place, will be going home with $27 million in addition to their bronze medal. A lot was riding on that match, and it wasn't just because both teams had lost the opportunity to play for gold, and so we're trying to salvage what they could. On the part of Morocco, they are the first African Arab team to make it to the semifinals, and placing 3rd would have meant more records broken. But on the part of Croatia, winning at least 3rd would have been a good enough way for some of their aging players like Luka Modric to retire. So yeah, both teams were probably in it for more than the money. Interestingly, the 3rd place match wasn't the first time that Croatia and Morocco were playing each other during this tournament. Both teams were in the Group F, and their first meeting ended in a 0-0 draw. So nobody expected the match to be an easy one, especially considering that Morocco had conceded very few goals up until that point. What's more, Morocco had beaten some big competitions like Belgium 2-0, Spain 3-0 in penalties, and Portugal 1-0 to get to the semifinals, where they were beaten by France by 2-0. In fact, some might even say that Morocco was the stronger team because Croatia drew with Belgium 0-0 and only managed to edge out Japan and Brazil during penalties. To win the 3rd place, earning them bronze medals and $27 million. Morocco, on the other hand, went home with an impressive $25 million. Not bad. Now, for the top 2, there's a bit more money there, as it is to be expected. However, while there isn't that much of a difference between the prize money for the 3rd place and the 2nd place, there is a significant difference between the prize money for the 2nd and the 1st place. Having placed 2nd, France is entitled to $30 million, but the winner of the tournament, Argentina, won an impressive $42 million, which is not only $12 million more than what France has got at the 2nd place winners, but also $4 million more than what they earned having won the 2018 World Cup. And after watching the 2022 final, you have to agree that the increase in the pay is very much deserved. The Qatar 2022 final was unarguably the most entertaining and engaging World Cup final in many years. All around the world, people were on the edge of their seats for more than 120 minutes, watching both countries battle it out on the field. Both countries were, of course, in it to win, and it showed the fact that the match ended 3-3 after additional time, pushing them into penalties. But even before the first whistle blew to the final, it was obvious to everybody that the Qatar 2022 final would be hot. On the one hand, France was the reigning champion, having won the 2018 World Cup. What's more, they had proven themselves to be strong contenders during the tournament, even without some of their key players like N'Golo Kante, Paul Pogba, and 2022 Ballon d'Or winner Karim Benzema. The French team that played in Qatar 2022 was solid even without these guys, with people like Oliver Giroud and Anthony Griezmann stepping up to the plate. But without a doubt, 24-year-old Kylian Mbappe was the biggest factor in their success, especially in the final. The young man scored France's 3 goals, giving them a fighting chance both during regular playtime and during additional time. On the other hand, Argentina wanted that win badly for a number of reasons, one of them being that their last win in 1986. However, the biggest reason is arguably because of Lionel Messi. The 35-year-old whose career has been pitted against 37-year-old Cristiano Ronaldo's for decades now, had won every major prize in the game of football and had never won a World Cup in his entire career. And rumors were that Qatar 2022 would be his final World Cup, so going home with the trophy would have been a good way to make his exit, if the rumors were true. What's more, a number of people believe that Argentina winning the World Cup would put the GOAT debate to bed, cementing Messi's status as the GOAT as opposed to Ronaldo. And then for many Argentinians, Argentina winning the World Cup would put Messi in a competition with, or even ahead of late Argentina football hero Diego Maradona. So yeah, a lot was riding on the Argentina-France final. As we all know, the match ended 3-3 after additional time, but Argentina managed a 4-2 win on penalties, and both teams have probably gotten their prize money by now. Exactly how much each player gets from the prize money is something that FIFA is concerned with. The countries decide how much their players get, but the Argentinian players would most likely get a lot than the French counterparts. Interestingly, it's not just the countries that get some money out of the World Cup. Football clubs also get something too. FIFA has something that is called the Club Benefits Program, where some money is set aside to be distributed to football clubs for releasing their players to play at the World Cup. The clubs receive about $10,000 per player per day of the tournament, and are also for every day of the week that the players had to report before the tournament started, which means that the longer a player stays in the tournament, the more money the club makes. At the end of the tournament, football clubs must have made close to $400,000 from each of their players in the final. And if that club has multiple players in finals, they would be raking in millions of dollars at the end of the tournament. However, if a player has moved clubs in the last 3 years, their former clubs share equally from the pot. So for an instance, PSG gets 2/3 of money from Messi, seeing that he has been in the club for 2 seasons now. But because he was in Barcelona the season before these two, Barca is entitled to more than $100,000 from the pot. Now you can understand why clubs might not have an issue with letting their players go to participate in the World Cup. A lot of money is at stake, money that could come in handy for a club. So they are more likely to stomach the possibility of their players coming back with injuries if it means they might come back with some money. Anyway, as you have seen from all of that has been said, making it to the top 3 is not only a great deal prestige-wise, but it is also great financially. So the countries, their players, and the clubs that those players play for or played for within the last 3 years will all have a stake in a country reaching the top 3. And there you have it, all about how much the first 3 countries made at the World Cup and how much was made from them. Did you know that all this money was up for grabs at the World Cup? And would you say that all that spending is justified? Please share your thoughts. While you're doing that, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so that you know when next we post a new video. Have a nice day and see you in the next one.